Yeah, I think this is the biggest challenge on my life. Super happy, bro.
But I think we know that that's what he's gonna do. That's what he's all about. We know that that's what he's gonna try to be doing. But listen, I'm very ready for this, and for 100%, like for sure, I'm ready for what's coming.
Mateusz Gamrot called out Charles Oliveira's ground game, saying it's not as strong as fans think. As they prepare to clash in the explosive Rio card, excitement builds for a showdown guaranteed to deliver high-intensity action inside the octagon. Meanwhile, Josh Thompson shared his thoughts on the sudden matchup between Charles Oliveira and Mateusz Gamrot. He pointed out that Gamrot stepped in as a short-notice replacement with just a few weeks to prepare. According to Josh, Gamrot had been pushing for this fight for some time, believing he could win after watching Arman Tsarukyan's victory over Oliveira.
They actually give you real knowledge that you can use to make your bets better. So, and also they don't really care who you use to bet. It just, that link gets you the information you need to make your bets properly. So check that out. You want to go ahead and just talk about the card?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, we'll just talk about a couple of these fights here. Charles Oliveira versus Matisse Gamrot. This is obviously, Gamrot is a last minute replacement. Coming up on 3 weeks, I think, is in this fight. He is somebody that this is somebody that he wanted this fight. He was begging for this fight, talked about it on social media. This was the fight that he feels like he can win. I think because he saw Arman Tsarukyan get the win against Charles Oliveira, and Gamrot's got a win over Tsarukyan, I think he believes that he could potentially do the same exact thing to Charles Oliveira.
Josh explained that Gamrot's confidence stems from his own win over Tsarukyan, leading him to believe he could replicate that success against Oliveira. However, Josh reminded fans not to count Charles out, praising his ground skills and toughness. He said Oliveira still has what it takes to beat fighters like Gamrot, though the quick turnaround after his last fight might be a challenge.
My problem with this is that a lot of people are writing Charles Oliveira off. Let's not forget, on the ground, Arman Tsarukyan was defending submission after submission and was able to finally get out of him and get himself to positions where he could survive the rest of the round. He had some great moments on the feet, Arman did. He had some great moments on the ground. He did some work, but Charles, to me, still has what it takes to beat guys like Gamrot. Gamrot just needs to get over that hump. This would be potentially him getting over that hump. But I don't know if he has all the tools to survive Charles Oliveira. So if I'm leaning towards one person, I'm leaning towards Charles. Is it too quick of a turnaround after his loss to Ilia Topuria? That's to be seen. We don't know.
As the spotlight shifted to Mateusz Gamrot, he opened up about his mindset ahead of facing Charles Oliveira. Unlike other fighters who avoid Oliveira on the ground, Gamrot said he feels confident in his wrestling and BJJ. He wants to show his best grappling skills and is ready to trade submissions and perform strongly on the mat.
Yeah, bro, he's the most dangerous guy in the ground. I understand the people doesn't like go to the ground with him, but not me, bro. Wrestling in BJJ is my DNA. I love exchange, submission, and grappling in the ground. I am glad because my previous opponent always stand up from the ground, but right now Charles Oliveira gonna be submit me or and scramble with me in the ground. So I am happy because I think this fight I wanna show my best skills in the jiu-jitsu. You know, this fight I wanna show my really good performance.
Moving on, Charles Oliveira addressed questions about Gamrot's confidence on the ground. He explained that he isn't motivated by how dangerous his opponent is or by past losses. Instead, Oliveira said his main focus is simply winning the fight. Whether it happens by knockout, submission, or decision doesn't matter to him. His calm and determined mindset shows he's fully focused on achieving victory in this matchup.
It's not that excites me, you know. It's just like I want to win. It doesn't matter if it's knockout or finish. I just want to win.
After Oliveira shared his focus on winning, Mateusz Gamrot spoke about his own mindset for the fight. He admitted this matchup is the biggest challenge of his career, but said he feels ready. Despite taking the fight on short notice, Gamrot explained that he has always worked hard to face top fighters, and now he finally has the chance to prove himself against one of the best.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest challenge on my life. Super happy, bro. I came in Rio on Sunday, more than ready to fight with Charles Oliveira. Of course, this is short notice, but this is life prepare, you know. All my life I've been waiting and hustle and hard work to fight with the best guys in the planet, and we got it.
Furthermore, after Gamrot expressed his excitement about facing Oliveira, analyst Din Thomas shared his thoughts on the matchup. He explained that fighting in Brazil is usually very tough for visiting fighters because Brazilian fighters often dominate at home. However, Din thinks this fight could be different. He highlighted Gamrot's relentless style and experience, suggesting that Oliveira might face a serious challenge despite the home advantage.
I don't know. So here's the thing, though. When you fight in Brazil, Brazilians are really tough to beat in Brazil. When you look at the history, whenever they have these UFC cards in Brazil, the Brazilian guys normally roll. It happened in Paris too. The French guys in Paris, they absolutely roll. Doesn't happen in Canada. Men in Canada can't win in Canada, but in Brazil, Brazilians tend to win. But I think Charles is going to be the exception in this one. The fact that he didn't want this fight, like he criticized all the guys who turned it down. And then when he got Gamrot first, he was like, nah, I don't want it. So the fact that he initially didn't want it says a lot about his enthusiasm for this fight. And Gamrot is such a difficult style to beat. And I don't see, and for as good as Charles is on his back, Gamrot is just so relentless on top. And he's not going to get hit with anything he hasn't seen before. I think Gamrot goes down to Brazil and upsets a Brazilian in Brazil.
Following Din Thomas's analysis, Jose Youngs shared his perspective on Mateusz Gamrot's strengths and challenges. He praised Gamrot's skills, pointing to his fight against Dan Hooker as proof of his talent. However, Jose warned that fighting against Oliveira in Brazil could be difficult, especially if judges are influenced by the crowd. He added that while a knockout seems unlikely, Gamrot could still win a tough, grindy decision.
He got the wrong person. But Gamrot is the man. I really like him, but he had a real good fight. If you watch his fight against Dan Hooker without the commentary, that is a very fun fight. And Gamrot was landing clean on Dan Hooker on a lot of those exchanges. Obviously, the Australian crowd did not do him any favors because Dan Hooker could throw and miss, and they would go berserk. So it didn't work out for him in enemy territory. I still think he lost that fight regardless, just based on damage. But if he has another fight like that over 5 rounds and Charles is maybe not connecting, but the judges sure think he's connecting based on the crowd's reaction, it's probably going to be a bad night for Gamrot. If it's going to be a finish, I think it's for sure going to be Charles. I don't think Gamrot knocks him out. I think he could win a grindy decision.
After Jose Young's breakdown, Jed Meshew shared his thoughts on the matchup. He said he's picking Charles Oliveira, but not with full confidence. Jed highlighted that Gamrot stepping in on short notice for a 5-round fight makes it a bigger challenge, and he also noted that stylistically, Oliveira has done well against similar opponents, though Gamrot could be dangerous if he lands a clean shot.
I'm picking Charles, not confidently. I do really like this fight for him instead of Fiziev. Charles was going to get hurt by Fiziev. Like, that was just what was gonna happen.
Terrible matchmaking.
Terrible matchmaking. And so this, especially given the circumstances, to the best of my knowledge, it's stayed a 5-rounder. Gamrot stepping in on short notice for a 5-rounder. That's a much bigger ask. Charles, this is stylistically an opponent that he has historically fared pretty well against. And so I like his chances. The big caveat being, can Gamrot hurt him? Because normally I would say, not really. Like, he can hit him, but it's not really going to do anything. If Gamrot commits to the hands and Charles gets jawed, then okay, well, he came back way too soon, and that's a problem.
Shifting from the Oliveira versus Gamrot discussion, Brian Campbell talked about Alex Pereira's future in the UFC following his big win last Saturday. He explained that Pereira, at 38, has achieved a lot in just 4 years and has built a strong reputation for taking fights on short notice. Campbell explored Pereira's hopes of moving to heavyweight and the potential high-profile matchups he could have in 2026, including a possible super fight with Jon Jones.
But we would see him go on to talk about hopes of not only moving up to heavyweight, but potentially fighting Jon Jones at the White House in June. So Luke, given his age of 38, given everything he's accomplished in just 4 years as a UFC fighter and the reputation that he's built within the company, which matters because he's doing what Dana loves, a guy that will turn around on short notice, will fight anybody at any time. Few would argue Pereira deserves the opportunity to be the first to move up to heavyweight and maybe become the first 3-division champion in UFC history. But from a promotional standpoint, provided Pereira's injured foot, which we'll get into a second, doesn't keep him out, what do you think would be the best way to accommodate Pereira's heavyweight hopes in 2026? Is it a one-off against a contender or Derek Lewis, someone like that? Is it Jon Jones in a super fight? Is it lining him up to face Tom Aspinall or the winner of the Cyril Gane matchup?
Following Campbell's discussion on Alex Pereira, Luke Thomas shared his view on Pereira's potential super fight with Jon Jones. He explained that many fans want to see this matchup at the White House card, though he noted it's not his personal preference. Luke pointed out that while Pereira showed skill in his last fight, it didn't fully test his wrestling ability against top opponents.
Well, I think that the prevailing view that I see online, it's not my view, but I definitely recognize that it's there, is that people want Poatan to fight Jon Jones now on this White House card, and I think for a couple of reasons. One, again, Poatan just went in there, and it wasn't like I guess he defended one takedown, that half-ass takedown after Ankalaev got rocked. It's not really a great examination of how he would do it with the wrestling,
Sure.
but the point is that, Poatan would argue, I don't need to worry about that because of look what I did. I beat him with these other things.
Luke continued, highlighting the star power a Pereira versus Jon Jones fight would bring. He mentioned the recent personal tragedy in Pereira's life, which delayed his call out, showing a respectful side of the fighter. While fans are excited about the matchup, Luke suggested that he personally prefers to see Pereira face the winner of the next pay-per-view, balancing competitive challenge with fan interest.
There's a lot of star power there between Poatan and Jon Jones. There is obviously, you even heard Poatan say he was going to call him out and then didn't want to, obviously, because there was this tragic and sudden passing of his brother. So there was this moment of silence there, which I thought was, by the way, a very classy gesture on the part of Poatan. But I'm just sort of pointing out, you need an American on that White House card. Jon has been angling for it. It's not my personal preference for what I would see. I'm going to answer it just based on what I want to see. Understanding that I think that the majority of fans probably want to see those two together on that card. I want to see Poatan get the winner of the next pay-per-view.
Adding on, after Luke Thomas shared his view on Pereira's potential matchups, Anthony Smith added his perspective. He explained that Pereira knows where the big money fights are and understands the risks. Smith said that Tom Aspinall could be a tougher challenge than Jon Jones because Aspinall avoids striking exchanges, making him a dangerous opponent with a very difficult style that could trouble Pereira early in the fight.
For sure. And Pereira knows that. He knows where the money is. He knows where the big fight is. And Aspinall is if we're just being honest, I think Aspinall's a harder fight. Because Aspinall won't even entertain striking with him. He just won't. So Jon Jones, I think, will play the game.
Anthony continued, saying Aspinall plans to take fighters down and try to submit them. He explained that while a fight with Jon Jones would be exciting, Aspinall's style might be less fun to watch because there would be less striking. He admitted Aspinall's strategy is smart, but questions if fans really want to see Pereira getting controlled on the ground early in the fight.
And he's a little bit older. He's Pereira's age. They're about the same age. They both got a lot of miles. Tom Aspinall is a young, really big superstar. And I just don't know that. Do you want to watch Alex Pereira get taken down in the first round and submitted? I'm not saying that that's exactly what would happen, but that's Tom Aspinall's game plan. He's never shied away from that. He's told the entire world what he would do if he fought Pereira. So he'd scream across the cage, football tackle him, and choke him. That's what I would do if I was that big. So I'm not knocking him for it. I just don't know that's what I want to see.
Building on the discussion about Aspinall, Brendan Schwab shared his take on Alex Pereira's potential matchups. He explained that fans are eager to see Pereira take bold, high-profile fights, such as a showdown with Jon Jones. Schwab noted that the UFC prioritizes what's best for the promotion, so Pereira's next fight could shift based on other fighters' performances.
Jon's big, but at least Jon was naturally a 205er. If you're a Poatan fan, you want to see him do the unthinkable, the unimaginable, you want him to fight Jon. UFC knows this. Listen, if my dumb is telling you this, trust me, the UFC knows this. And UFC is going to do what's good for the UFC, not what's good for Tom. So I could see them doing that. Now, if Tom's starch is gone, it's almost going to force the hand where you can't just leapfrog Tom and put Jon versus Poatan.
Brendan continued, saying if Tom Aspinall doesn't impress in his fight, the UFC might bypass him and match Pereira with Jon Jones at the White House. He explained that even if Pereira loses to Aspinall, fans would still tune in because of the excitement. Schwab emphasizes that the UFC's decision depend on performance and entertainment, not just wins or losses.
It's going to force the UFC to do Tom versus Poatan, and Poatan just has this. You can't count him out. You can't count him out. We'd all tune in. If he loses that one, it's like, okay. Again, it's not boxing. Okay. So you shot for the moon. You're still legend, dude. Like, even if he gets submitted by Aspinall, all good. But if this is like a decision, if he were to lose it, for sure he's not fighting Poatan. But if it's a decision, if it's back and forth, if he doesn't look impressive, Potan's gonna leapfrog Tom, even if he wins. But if it's not impressive, he's gonna leapfrog him and then do Jon versus Poatan at the White House. I would almost guarantee it.
Shifting from Pereira's potential matchups, Joe Rogan and MVP talked about his unique personality and presence. They said Pereira is stone-faced and powerful, calling him a true Amazon warrior. They highlighted how his heritage and fighting style make him stand out. Rogan and MVP agreed that Pereira's persona and walkout helped tell his story, making him memorable and exciting for fans.
Well, it's interesting because some guys, their personality is no personality. Like Pereira. His personality is stone-faced. Just stone-faced, destroyer, death machine. Here he comes, Amazon warrior. Literal, actual Amazon warrior. Like, not a faker. His family comes from a tribe in the Amazon.
But then that's what he markets, though.
Yeah. I guess that's what they marketed. But it was
but he markets that as well. He walks out. That walkout.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Bro, I do it myself. When he's walking out, I'm just waiting for him, like,
That's true.
And that's what I mean, though. I mean, like, that's you're selling your story with just something so simple.
That's actually a very good point that I didn't even think of.
Yeah.
They continued discussing Pereira's walkout, noting how the jungle-themed music and Amazon warrior image connect with the audience. Rogan and MVP explained that fans, especially kids, remember these moments. They also pointed out that fighters must use the platform to market themselves while improving skills like strength, conditioning, and technique. This combination of personality and skill helps make Pereira a standout star in the sport.
His walkout.
His walkout
gives
maybe
you
the
best in the sport.
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to say.
And that music.
Yeah.
The jungle music behind him.
You just a walk.
Just like this Amazon warrior.
It's simple. Everyone can relate to it.
Oh, yeah.
It's consistent. So I'm always going to, that's the guy.
And you see kids in the audience throw the 1-2
hook
they
afterwards.
Do it. Yeah,
and like I said, because I'm a big wrestling fan, I see it's those moments that everybody will remember and everybody will do.
Right, when Stylebender came into The Undertaker.
Bro, beast. But that's what I'm trying to say, is those kind of things that people just don't.
Yeah.
And I'm talking the fighters themselves. Obviously, I feel that the UFC can do their bit as well. But technically, you're already on the platform that's going to show you to everybody. So then it's your job to figure it out as well.
Another aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Like strength and conditioning, like all these different things.
Exactly.
Furthermore, after discussing Pereira's personality and marketability, Daniel Cormier shared his thoughts on Pereira's fight choices. He explained that Pereira isn't interested in easy matchups. Instead, he seeks the toughest challenges to prove himself, showing both confidence and ambition. DC highlighted that in today's MMA, star power and big fights can sometimes matter more than the belt itself. DC said, "For so long, people spoke about Tom Aspinall and how Jon Jones was avoiding him. Tom is a very tough matchup and doesn't have Jon's star power. Instead of choosing easier opponents like Yuri or Carlos, Pereira went straight for Jon Jones." Further, he added, he called out the hardest fight possible, showing he wants the biggest challenge of all, not just an easier fight. DC continued, "Alex choosing Jon Jones shows what kind of man he is. Today, in MMA, fights can matter more than belts. Like with Conor McGregor, Pereira could easily fight Tom Aspinall and the UFC would have to agree because of his star power." Further, he also said, but he picked the toughest challenge, proving his ambition and willingness to face the hardest fight possible, not just the easy path. As the build-up ends, both fighters bring unique strengths. Mateusz Gamrot's confidence wrestling in BJJ challenge Oliveira's ground dominance, while Oliveira's calm focus and proven skills make him dangerous even in short notice. This fight isn't just about submissions or knockouts, about who controls the pace and adapts under pressure. Fans can expect a thrilling clash of strategy, skill, and heart that will test both fighters to the limit. So, will Gamrot prove Oliveira's ground game is overrated, or will Oliveira show why he's still one of the best in the mat, with Alex Pereira eyeing a super fight with Jon Jones? Who do you think would win if that fight happens? Alex or Jon? Drop your predictions in the comments below.